Right now we're going to jump into the classic reggae grooves. I've made 3 categories of the essential grooves that pretty much every reggae song has a variation of one of these 3 types of grooves: the one drop, the steppers, and the rockers. We're going to start with the one drop. The one drop is the most signature and most recognized or go-to groove that people think of when they think of reggae drumming, especially roots reggae, the early style of reggae, the foundation of where the music started, the feel. It's that classic sound. Beat is called a one drop. So like I talked about in the introduction of this chorus, it's how do you count it? We're going to count it on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can feel it on beat 3 if you want to. There's no right or wrong way. According to tradition, you have ska, rocksteady, and reggae. Ska's your up-tempo, rocksteady's your mid-tempo, and reggae's where things really shifted and slowed down, got much just deeper, heavier in the message, in the vibe, and just the feeling of it. So I just like to keep it feeling on 2 and 4 in my head. Also, one of the most distinct characteristics of the music is that upbeat pulse. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Those are called skanks. The guitar, the piano, the horns, they usually will have that accent. So it's good to pay attention and watch the nuances that I'm doing on how I even touch the hi-hat cymbal, kind of floating and accenting that upbeat pulse against that really strong 2 and 4. If you're counting it on beat 3, then instead of upbeats as your skanks, your 2 and 4 are your skanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So let's just keep it all on 2 and 4. 1, 3, 1, and. This leads me to the first groove I want you to do to develop the feel of your one drop and getting comfortable with playing at slow tempos and really developing space and your feel. This is just going to make you a better, more disciplined musician and understand how you could make something feel by not playing it. So many people talk about the notes you don't play are just as important as the notes you play. And I come from a background where I can play music with a whole lot of notes, but I'm also super comfortable playing in space. So the first one drop variation I'm going to show you is we're going to play 2 and 4 with the cross stick and the bass drum together, just like we do in ska and rocksteady. 1, 3, 1, 3. All I'm going to do is upbeats on the hi-hat to mimic the guitar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Put it together. 1, 2. So that's deceivingly difficult for a lot of players. Again, they're so used to wanting to play busy and fast things that I'll sit down with some students and they just don't even have the attention span to lock into that and just sit with it. So that's a challenge for you guys. Play that for at least 8 bars, 16 bars. Don't do a fill, okay? Again, I'm gonna play it one more time, even slower. Next one drop variation, I'm just gonna play eighth notes on the hi-hat, which is a very standard feel. You listen to a lot of the Bob Marley songs, his drummer Carly Barrett. He had a lot of other amazing drummers. Carly was his main drummer that really helped make that Bob Marley and the Wailers sound. So if we just listen to a traditional one drop feel, we're gonna just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's all you're gonna play on the hi-hats, just straight eighth notes. Again, 2 and 4 with the cross stick and the bass drum. If I want, I can mess around now, dance around with the hi-hat a bit, accentuate that upbeat pulse with the guitar, the bubble that the keyboard is doing, which is what that's called, or the organ, and the horns, percussion. It's just more of an accent on the upbeat pulse. Those two one-drop variations are just great to jump in, develop, feel them, play them at different tempos. You can play them fast, like in the ska range, or you could play them extremely slow, like that last demo I just did. But again, pay attention to the space and just keep it feeling good. You don't ever want it to turn robotic. That's a huge no-no with these styles. You want them to feel alive, and they're moving. It's a musical journey. Don't think of it as, oh, well, why am I just playing the same thing and I'm not doing any fills? Might as well just have a drum machine do it. No. It's enjoy what you're doing as you're playing it. It's living and breathing as you're moving, just like you are. It's not like, no. For me, I feel really good just sitting in there. I could sit there all day. So once you start to make it feel the way that it's sounding, you could play along the records, then you can start to experiment with all the different variations we have. So I want to talk about the difference between straight and swung grooves. Reggae goes either way. You could play a very straight feel, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or swung, 1 a 2 a 3 a 4 a 1 a 2. So it's very important to develop both feels, not only in reggae, but just playing music overall. No matter what style of music you play on the drums, it's so important that you can play a really good straight feel and a really good swung feel, and in between if you need to. So now that you have the basic idea of what the one drop feel is, we're gonna check out a play along track that you guys can download and play for yourselves. I'm going to show different variations of the one drop as I'm playing it. So I'm not just gonna do the upbeats and I'm not just gonna play straight eighth notes. I'm gonna move around and you'll see, like I was saying, it's living, it's breathing. I'll put some fills in, but they're authentic to the style of the music. I'm not doing anything that's sticking out. A couple notes on this play along track. Notice that I'm not hitting a lot of cymbals, or if I do a fill, I don't end it with a crash on the one. That's another distinct characteristic of reggae drumming, especially authentic reggae drumming, not so much the modern rock reggae that you might hear from these newer bands. When I play a fill, I will purposely not hit a cymbal at the end of it. I want it to stay dry. it doesn't always need that accent. So when you start to listen to the music and really just start to feel things, and you'll notice, whoa, what he said about like playing fills and not hitting crashes at the end is true. I'm not really noticing that. Drummers doing that. So the other thing I want to point out with this play along track, which we call J5 Bingi, is the roots of reggae music is based in the foundation of Nyabingi drumming. There's a whole chapter of it in Wicked Beats, and why we call this song J5 Bingi is because it is a Nyabingi feel, which is that heartbeat pulse. That's a very strong pulse that we can play at any tempo that you'll hear in a lot of roots reggae, Nyabingi drumming playing with the drum set. I'm going to perform J5 Bingi very stripped down using the two variations of the one drop that we just talked about, also going back and forth, accenting that Nyabingi heartbeat pulse. So you'll hear that I'm just going to go from a one drop to the Bingi beat, back to the one drop, and I'm only going to play the two variations we talked about so you can hear it in a musical context.